the game.
Hey there, I'm Kelsey Dickey. What started as helping people with their money at my dining room table grew into a 7-figure financial coaching practice. Now I teach others how to build a thriving coaching business of their own. Whether you're just starting out or you've been coaching for years, I'm here to help you make a bigger impact while doing what you love. This is the Financial Coach Academy podcast. Let's dive in.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Coach Academy. I am your host, Jill Emanuel. I am here subbing in for Kelsey this month. I'm so excited to be here while she is out on her summer sabbatical, having the time of her life, living it up on the lake. Those of you who don't know me, I'm one of the mentors for the Financial Coach Academy and the lead coach for our coaching business, Fiscal Fitness Phoenix. I've been coaching for nearly a decade now, and I'm here to help you develop your coaching skills and expertise. Thanks so much for joining me. All right, one announcement for today. Our enrollment for the official Financial Coach Mastermind is opening up on September 15th. Enrollment closes on the 21st. You can choose from either a 6 or 12-month enrollment period, and you're going to want to check out the bonuses that we have included. We only open our general enrollment once or twice a year, so you really want to take advantage of this opportunity to step back from all the noise, join a supportive, encouraging group of fellow financial coaches that makes the entire process of growing your business so much more enjoyable. So if you have any questions, make sure you reach out to us at Financial Coach Academy. Go to financialcoachacademy.com/mastermind to get more enrollment or add your name to the wait list so that you're sure to get those emails when enrollment opens up very soon. All right, guys, so before we get started, I wanted to share a review from Seth, the financial coach. Seth says, I've gotten more education from this podcast than from any of the outside coaching certifications I've paid for. Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Seth. Thank you for sharing this and for taking the time to leave a review. This really does help us, and it helps other financial coaches who are looking for help to find this podcast. So if you are loving this podcast, please take a second, pause right now, jump over to Apple Podcasts, leave us a review. We really would appreciate it. All right, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Today, I want to talk to you guys about 4 often overlooked ingredients that are going to make your business more successful. So on this podcast, if you've been around for a while, you know we often talk about the big things in business, things like client care and marketing and sales and program development and your coaching skills. But today I wanted to talk about 4 things that you may be missing that I've seen really help coaches' businesses grow. So as I was thinking about these things, it made me think of this sort of silly analogy. So bear with me, okay? I want you to think about baking some chocolate chip cookies. All right, this was on my mind probably because my son asked to bake chocolate chip cookies the other day, so that's likely where this idea came from. Now, imagine that you're getting ready to bake these cookies. You have people that are going to be coming over to your house. You can't wait to share with them, and you're starting to pull out the ingredients, but you don't have a recipe. And you're thinking about the big things, right? The most obvious things. You're pulling out the flour and the sugar and the butter and the chocolate chips, but that's really the only thing that feels very obvious in your mind, and so that's what you start to bake with. Now, in this analogy, those big things are what I just talked about, what we typically talk about on this podcast, which is the sales calls, the coaching skills, the program development, right? All of those really big, sort of obvious ingredients to your coaching business. Now, you're baking these cookies, and you maybe leave out a few seemingly insignificant but pretty critical ingredients, right? Let's call this the salt, vanilla, baking powder, or baking soda, and eggs, all right? Imagine baking these cookies without these ingredients. I actually had to look it up to see what would it do if you left these out, and I thought this was really interesting, okay? So listen, what happens if you leave out salt? The cookies are going to taste overly sweet and bland, the chocolate flavor will feel muted, and it's going to sort of lack that wow factor that makes the cookie flavor pop. If you leave out the vanilla, the cookies will taste flat and one-dimensional. You might just notice that something seems missing even if you can't quite name it. If you leave out the baking soda, these cookies are going to be flat and dense. The texture is going to be tough or overly cakey. It might not spread quite right. The shape's going to be kind of funky. And if you forget the egg, you're going to get dry, brittle cookies. They're not going to rise. The dough isn't going to come together properly, and they may even collapse and melt into a greasy puddle. Ew. So we can see that these little things make a huge difference, right? You would not have a great cookie without any one of these things. Something would always seem off. And this is really how I want you to think about these 4 things that we're going to talk about today. They might seem small or insignificant on the surface. You might think, do I really need this? Would I really notice? But if you don't have them, something will not be quite right. Something's always going to be a little off. And so that's why I wanted to talk about them today. All right. We want to build a business that is just like the perfect chocolate chip cookie. All right. Nothing's missing. We've got all the right ingredients to create something really amazing. So let's dive into these 4 missing ingredients and talk about the impact that they can have in your business to create the perfect recipe. All right, we're going to start with missing ingredient number 1, which is community. All right, any of you that have been doing this entrepreneurship thing for any length of time probably know that it can be really lonely. Trying to build something from scratch on your own with no one to bounce ideas off of or validate your progress, it's exhausting, right? And most people around you just don't get it. Your partner might be supportive, but they don't really know what it's like to navigate client objections or to write a sales page or try to tackle a really tough client conversation. Your friends, they're probably cheering you on, but they don't really know what it's like to build a financial coaching business. And they definitely don't understand how different this path is from the typical 9-to-5 job, right? And even other entrepreneurs often don't fully relate to the unique challenges that we face as financial coaches, which can actually make this feel even more isolating, right? The people that are supposed to be in your group still don't quite get it. I see this all the time where coaches with really big dreams who want to use their financial skills to help others, they're trying to figure it out all alone. They start out strong, but they eventually get burnt out or stuck in decision paralysis or just plain discouraged because they're trying to do it all on their own, and far too often they quit. So this is why I chose community as the first missing ingredient to talk about, because I really do think that this is so critical and essential to your success as a financial coach, right? Because when you're surrounded by other financial coaches who do get it, who are right there with you, it really does change everything. You feel seen and understood and supported. You stop second guessing yourself so much. You make faster decisions. You take bigger action. There is proof of concept from seeing other financial coaches do what you want to do, and it really builds your own belief in yourself. And when the hard days come, because they will, you'll have people around you who make it easier to keep going. So this isn't talking just about networking, but it really is about belonging to a community. And when you belong to a community that believes in you, it becomes a whole lot easier not to give up on yourself. All right, so let's talk about missing ingredient number 2, which is accountability. All right, so I think that we can all likely agree that things move a lot slower without accountability. This is one of the wonderful things about us being coaches for our clients, right? It helps them take action and get things done. So the same is true for us in our business. You might say that you're going to write an email sequence, launch an offer, rework your client onboarding process. But if you're just answering to yourself, it's really easy for life to get in the way, right? Doubt might creep in. You procrastinate. You spend way too much time researching and perfecting something that just needs to get out the door. And this can be true for all of us. This is why accountability is such a game changer. It speeds up your decision making. It keeps your priorities in check, and it helps you to actually follow through on the things that matter. In fact, there's a study that I love, which has shown that when you commit to a goal and set an accountability date with someone else, your probability of achieving success with that goal shoots up to 95%, which is incredible. That is the difference between you just thinking about a goal and keeping it to yourself, where your probability of success is only 10%. So 10% to 95, I think we can clearly agree that we want the 95% chance of success, and that happens with having that accountability with another person. So I want you to think for a second about the clients that you work with, and think about how many times someone has shown up to a coaching session and admitted to you, the only reason I got this done is because I knew we had our meeting today. I've probably heard this hundreds of times over the years, where people just procrastinate, they get busy, they put things off, but as soon as they know that they're going to have to show up and talk to someone about it, it provides that external motivation to get things done, right? That is the power of accountability. It's not that the task was impossible or that they really couldn't do it. It's just that someone else is there waiting for them to follow through, right? And suddenly this thing that's been sitting on your to-do list for weeks gets done. So this accountability is so true, not only for your clients, but also for you and your business, right? How many times have you said you're going to write that newsletter, you're going to follow up with a lead, you're going to launch an offer, and then you didn't? And it's not because you didn't care. It's not because you're not capable. It's because life got busy and no one was there to hold you to it. So you want to be the kind of business owner that does what they say they're going to do, right? And that's really difficult without some built-in accountability. It's easy to let things sort of slide. So especially when no one else knows what you were going to do in the first place, right? So that's why accountability matters. It's not about having someone to micromanage you or check in on you every single day, but it's about you declaring your goals out loud, sharing with someone else who is listening and who cares, and that you know is going to circle back and have you report in on your progress, right? So when you have accountability, you're going to move faster, you're going to aim higher, and you're going to follow through more consistently. So whether this accountability comes from one person or a group of people, when it's part of the system, everything else is going to accelerate. So that's why we want to remember this ingredient. All right, missing ingredient number 3 is support, right? We can all use support in our business. When you're trying to build your business all on your own, or you're constantly second guessing yourself, spending hours Googling things, trying to find answers, when you really just wish that you had someone that you could ask, right? Some external support to help you move forward. This can be really tough, right? When you hit a challenge or a tough client situation and you just don't know if you're handling it the right way, or you get an idea for something new, but you really have no idea if it's worth pursuing or even where to begin if you wanted to. Through all of this, there's this undercurrent of isolation and like you're just doing everything in a vacuum, unsure if you're making progress or if you're just spinning your wheels, right? So it's very much related to the other 2 things that I already talked about, but having support is that the people or community around you is helping you to navigate those decisions and move forward, right? Giving you that encouragement or giving you that second point of view. I had this experience actually just this week. I have a new client that I'm working with in our elite coaching program. So this is another financial coach that I'm mentoring one-on-one. And we were reviewing her front-end offers, and she had 2 different offers that when people came in and landed on her website, they had to make a decision of which one they wanted. And after reviewing this and talking to her about it and seeing what was happening in her business, it became very clear that one offer really was a distraction. It was adding more confusion. She didn't actually love it all that much. And so as we talked about this, we kind of said, maybe it's time to just let that one go and focus only on this one front-end offer. And she said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. I've kind of been feeling like something was off for months. I've been wondering if it's something to do with this, but I just needed to hear from someone else that it made sense to do this. And that is the power of having support, right? When you don't have support, Every decision feels heavier. Every setback feels more personal. Even the wins don't feel as good, right? They're quieter because you don't have anyone to celebrate them with. So this is why I say support is one of the most important ingredients for growing your successful coaching business. I want you to think about this and ask yourself, who is my support? We likely all have someone somewhere that can provide some support, and there's different forms of it, okay? So there's the tactical kind of support. So this is someone to bounce ideas off of, troubleshoot tricky client situations, help you design a new offer or look at your marketing. This really is the person that can be the difference between researching and overthinking and analyzing something for weeks or getting unstuck in 20 minutes, right? So it's this tactical support. There's also the emotional kind of support, right? This is the support that reminds you that you're not alone when things feel heavy or slow or confusing, or when your confidence wavers or you've had a tough week. This person is going to be there for you. They're going to tell you you're not failing. They're going to help you to keep moving forward. So that is another important piece of support. And then the third thing I would say is there's a celebratory kind of support, right? This is the kind of support that lets you shout from the rooftops when you've hit a big win. It's when you're landing a new client or you've reached a new revenue goal. You want to be met by cheers instead of by blank stares or awkward silence or, just like rooting for yourself all by yourself in your office because you don't feel like there's anyone else that's going to really get it. All right. Support like this is so important in your business. When you have the right support, you stay more consistent, you bounce back faster, you stop wasting time and energy second guessing yourself, and you really move forward with more clarity and confidence and gain more momentum. All right, the fourth missing ingredient is expert guidance. So this is definitely a bit different than support because support can come from someone who is not an expert in your field, but they can offer you that other types of support. But expert guidance is really the last of those four missing ingredients that we're talking about today. And this is so important when you are trying to build your business. When you are just starting out, or trying to grow, it's really easy to feel like you have to learn everything from scratch. You are probably watching webinars, listening to podcasts. Hello, hey, I'm glad you're here. Piecing together random advice and just hoping that you're on the right track, right? But you simply cannot gain the same insights and get the same traction without expert guidance. Learn from someone who has been there, right? There's no need to figure everything out all on your own, and you can fast track your success by learning from the experience of an expert who's walked this path before you. So this is really where I see a lot of coaches get stuck. They spend months or sometimes years trying to figure out why something isn't working, why leads aren't converting, why content isn't resonating, why their time feels constantly so scattered, but they're often too close to the problem to really see what's going on, and they don't have the experience yet to know which levers to pull and which ones to leave alone. So this is really where expert guidance can change the game. When you have access to someone who knows this business, you can shortcut the learning curve. You get strategies that are already dialed in. You get honest and constructive feedback that helps you refine what you're doing in real time. And maybe, most importantly, you avoid the kinds of mistakes that slow everything down or leave you feeling like you're not cut out for this. With expert guidance, the path forward becomes clearer, faster, and a whole lot more efficient. You're not just working hard, but you're working smart with someone in your corner who's already walked the path and can help you avoid those potholes. Okay, so I want to bring this back to the analogy from earlier, right? These things that I just talked about are the invisible but very important ingredients in your business. So just like with the chocolate chip cookies, the obvious things that you can see are the sugar and flour and chocolate chips. In your business, that's your coaching skills and networking and program development. But the less visible ingredients are often what makes the recipe work. Okay, so just like trying to bake these chocolate chip cookies without eggs or salt or baking soda, the same is going to be true when working on building your business without community, accountability, support, or expert guidance. These things will round out your business. They will give it the extra oomph to make it great. And these are the things that give you the perfect balance to develop your craft as a coach and also develop your skills as a business owner. So I wanted to talk about this today because these are the exact things that you gain as a member of our Financial Coaches Mastermind, which I mentioned at the top of the show is almost opening its annual enrollment. So this is really a place where you can find all 4 of these ingredients. You're going to find the community. You're going to be surrounded by other driven, focused, successful financial coaches who are taking action in their business and actively working on growing it. This is huge. We've heard from so many coaches over the years that having this community of people who are really trying to actively grow their business has helped them immensely. Even from coaches who came from other groups or masterminds before who said, I loved the group, but it still always felt like something was off. Like I didn't quite relate, that they didn't quite get me and my business. And a lot of the tactics or strategies just didn't translate or did not apply. All right, the accountability inside of the mastermind, you guys, this is huge. We've worked really hard over the years to develop a more effective accountability model, and we teach you that and show you how to use it inside of the mastermind to help you commit to a specific action and to take action on it, to actually accomplish it with accountability inside of the group, which helps you to grow so much faster. You're going to have support inside of our private Facebook mastermind group. So this is a group with us, the Financial Coach Academy team, and with the other members of the mastermind. You're going to be able to tap into the hive mind of the group, get support on your questions or your ups and downs in business, and really be able to give you some insights and advice and support along the way. And then finally, you're going to have expert guidance. You are not only going to have access to more resources to help support you in your business, but you're going to get real-time feedback from myself, Kelsa, Jacqueline, Sherry, and the other mentors inside of the group, be able to ask real-time questions and get help along the way. We're really there to help you with that, as well as attend 2 live coaching calls every single month where we guide you, mentor you, and answer more questions. It is truly a game changer, you guys, compared to building this business on your own. So I wanted to make sure that you knew about it and saw how all of these pieces can really help your business be more successful. Now, I don't want you to just take my word for it. So I pulled some testimonials from members of our mastermind. I wanted to share that with you today. So here's a couple of the things that some members have had to say. All right, this person says, through the mastermind, I met my accountability buddy who I meet with, weekly. It's been so helpful with the isolation that comes from solopreneurship. I've had my best income month ever and have direct support in the mastermind whenever I need it. It's helped me believe that my business is not only viable, but has the ability to be very successful. So awesome. All right, here's another one. The clarity I've gotten is invaluable. I literally feel as though I get it now. I get my own business, if that makes sense. I was all over the place. Now I'm focused and my energy and messaging are clear and focused too. Incredible. All right, let's see another one here. The mastermind keeps you accountable. There is so much support and encouragement to keep going. So many wonderful relationships I've built with other mastermind coaches. And it's so helpful to not feel alone on this journey, which I've talked about a lot in this episode. It is such a game changer to have other people in your corner and people who really get it and understand what it's like to build a financial coaching business. All right, one last one. This one says, whatever I'm struggling with in my business, there's a resource for it. And when I ask a question, they don't just direct me to that resource. They give me a specific and direct answer to my problem. There's really nothing like the mastermind. All right, I wanted to share these testimonials with you because I know it helps to hear from other people who are sort of right there with you in your shoes. We have coaches in the mastermind who are at all different stages of their business, some who have just launched their business within the last 6 months, some that have been coaching for 6+ years, and everything in between. That's part of the beauty of the mastermind. There's so much diversity and breadth of experience, and everyone there is there for the same reason, to grow and to give and receive support. There's truly nothing like it. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you today. I want you to remember these 4 missing ingredients. Whether you get them inside the mastermind or not, you do want to have them in your business to help you be more successful. So be thinking about each one and identify a place, a person, a structure that can give you community, accountability, support, and expert advice. You will be so thankful for these things. And if you are interested in the mastermind, make sure you head over to financialcoachacademy.com/mastermind. Enrollment opens September 15th and closes on the 21st. We would absolutely love to see you there. In the next episode, I'm going to be answering a question that I hear from so many coaches who are wondering, should I start a group coaching program or membership? I'm going to be answering this question and help you identify if and when the time is right for you. See you next week.
That's all for today. If you're ready to grow your own financial coaching business, head over to financialcoachacademy.com for helpful resources and tools. If this episode helped you, hit subscribe and leave us a review. I'll see you next week.